Most Gen X men don't watch the World Cup the same way. Some never care about it at all. Others quietly build part of their lives around it. And most men already know which level they are. Before this video is over. Level 1. The non-watcher. Some men never really enter the world of football. The World Cup comes and goes. Co-workers talk about it. Neighbors hang flags. Televisions stay on late into the night. But for him, life simply continues. He may know his country is playing. He may recognize one famous player. But beyond that, the tournament belongs to somebody else's world. Work comes first. Family comes first. The garage, the yard, the projects that still need fixing. He doesn't understand why people lose sleep over a game. He doesn't understand why strangers celebrate together. Or maybe, that used to be you. Have you ever watched an entire World Cup without caring about a single match? For many men, the answer is yes. And for most of their lives, they never feel like they're missing anything. But the strange thing about the World Cup is that very few men stay here forever. Sometimes all it takes is one game, one player, one dramatic finish, or one person sitting beside them. And that's where Level 2 begins. Level 2. The casual viewer. He only watches when everyone else is watching. A family gathering, a backyard cookout, a game playing in the background. He doesn't know the groups. He doesn't know the standings. He asks questions that longtime fans already know. Who's that? How much time is left? Why did they call that foul? And yet something starts happening. He remembers a goal. He remembers a celebration. He remembers an upset everyone talked about the next morning. The tournament becomes less like somebody else's tradition, and more like something he occasionally visits. He still says, "I'm not really a football fan." But every 4 years, he somehow finds himself watching again. One game becomes 2, then 3, and somewhere along the way, the World Cup stops being background noise. It starts becoming an event. Level 3, the tournament fan. This is where many men stay for years. He doesn't watch football all year. He doesn't follow club teams, but when the World Cup arrives, everything changes. He checks kickoff times. He plans his evenings. He starts recognizing players. He begins rooting for teams. He remembers where he was when certain goals happened. The tournament arrives with a feeling. The house feels different. The summer feels different. The world somehow feels smaller. And this is usually the first important question. Do you remember the first World Cup that actually felt like your World Cup? Maybe it was 1994, say, maybe 1998, maybe 2006, maybe 2010. Everybody seems to have one. The tournament where football finally became personal. Because once that happens, you never really watch the World Cup the same way again. Level 4. The ritual watcher. Now football has become a tradition. He watches from the same chair. He wears the same jersey. He calls the same friends. He makes the same food. Every 4 years, certain routines return. And he doesn't even realize how important they've become. At what point did watching football become a tradition in your life, instead of just a game? For many men, they don't notice it until years later. The World Cup becomes a marker of time. You remember where you lived, who you watched with, how old your children were, what job you had, what your life looked like, and every tournament becomes another chapter. If you've reached this level, you're probably exactly the kind of person this channel was made for. Because from here, football starts becoming something much bigger. Level 5. The historian. This man remembers everything. The goals, the mistakes, the upsets, the finals, the players everyone else forgot. He compares generations. He tells stories. He remembers old stadiums, old jerseys, old commentators. You mention a year, and he immediately remembers the tournament. Because football is no longer just something he watches. It's something he carries. And younger people often don't understand this level. Because to him, football isn't just happening today. Every new tournament sits beside all the old ones. The present and the past start living together. And every World Cup adds another memory to the shelf. Level 6, the keeper of memories. Eventually, something changes. The players get younger. The coaches get younger. The commentators get younger. And suddenly, the tournament becomes less about the matches and more about the people who used to sit beside you. The father who taught you the game, the brother you argued with, the friend who came over every tournament, the neighbor who never missed a match, the person who is no longer there. And here's the question many men eventually face. Who do you miss watching football with? Because every World Cup starts carrying memories, some joyful, some painful, some bittersweet. And you realize that football was quietly recording parts of your life the entire time. Every tournament becomes a photograph, not just of the game, but of who you were. Level 7. The man who realizes it was never just football at this level. Something becomes clear. The World Cup was never really about football, not completely. It was about summers. It was about friends. It was about fathers and sons. It was about sitting together, arguing together, celebrating together, growing older together. You realize the goals fade, the scores fade, even champions fade. But the memories stay, the people stay, the feeling stays. Because every 4 years, the tournament returns. And for a few weeks, time almost feels reversible. You remember who you used to be. You remember who used to sit beside you. You remember entire chapters of your life, and eventually you realize it wasn't the goals. It wasn't the trophies. It wasn't even the teams. It was the people. It was the years. It was who you were every time the tournament came back. So here's the final question. When the next World Cup arrives, who do you hope is sitting beside you? And what level are you? Because almost every man starts at level 1, but very few stay there forever. If you made it all the way to the end, tell us your level in the comments, and tell us the first World Cup that truly became your World Cup. Because sometimes, the best part of football isn't the game. It's remembering who we became while we were watching it.